Hello there. Once again, it's Anton from Anton Will Obey. Been a long time, it seems, since I've made a comic book video. Haven't come into a lot of comic books. I've got so many. It's hard to shop when you have so many, but I sold about 18 long boxes worth of just kind of early Image and Valiant, stuff like that. Just a massive assortment. And I delivered it. I made a video of that, packed my car full. I've never seen that many comics in my car, ever, or in any car. But in the midst of selling all that, on the way back from delivering it, I did stop at a comic book store in El Paso, and I picked up a few books. Also picked up a few books just kind of randomly local. And I wanted to point out this one. It's in rough shape. But a guy who owns a thrift store, he got a few of these in. It's very wrinkly and kind of wet, like it's water damaged. This thing is freaking huge. I mean, this thing is enormous. I have never seen a comic of this size. It is amazing. Just the sheer scale of it. To point it out, oh, don't sag. This is a regular comic book next to this thing. This thing is enormous. He also gave me this one, which was just in his pile of stuff. But I was just super excited about this gigantic Hulk comic. I thought it was a coloring book at first because it's that big. But I mean, look at some of these shots in here. This stuff is amazing. Pin-up gallery of Hulk stuff. And yeah, it just blows my mind. This thing is so big and so cool. Wish it was in a little bit better shape. It's hard to catch the whole thing in a camera lens because it is just freaking huge. Yeah, I have never had something quite that large, but very, very cool. Also from him, he gave me this issue of Defenders 81, which was in a pile of stuff he got. It's very rough shape as well, and a very rough issue of Flash, older issue of Flash, but it's cool. I'm not going to complain about the condition because, you know, I mean, they're free. You take a free comic when it's offered. You don't get too picky about the condition, and especially if it's from a non-comic person. Another one they had was the Sabbath Conan. You can see this one's a little bit larger with just some amazing art. It's obviously in terrible condition, but I was still just wickedly impressed with this thing. And they were free. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down for free. What is that? Zion Travelers? Huh. What a weird thing to be in a comic book. Weird. Huh. That is what it is. It's rough, but I had to show it off. And then next up, these are books that I picked up from a comic book shop. I just had gotten rid of a ton of comics, so I was like not really looking to buy more comics at the moment. But I stopped into the shop and, well, actually, let me start with this book. I spent $5. So I got this simply for the cover. I mean, Mars Attacks, Red Sonja #5. This was $4 for a brand new book. And I was like, well, definitely. That's just one I have to have. Just look at it. I have a thing for that cover. The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman homage. Anytime I see that, I usually snag it. But then for another $1, he threw in first issue special number 12, first Blue Starman. In his bin of stuff, I picked out an AC Comics annual number 3, which AC Comics are so hard to find. But it's one of the black and white ones. I still love it. I love AC Comics stuff. Always good. I picked out Axel, press button Axel. What do you call this? It was just in the bins. I didn't know how much he had anything listed for, so I just grabbed a few like random, really odd indie stuff. And when I got up to the counter, he's like, "How about $6 for everything?" And I was like, "Okay, that sounds great." And then I was like, "Well," he's like, "Well, you paying cash?" $5 for everything. So I picked up. I got all these for $1. Cat Claw number 3. I will always grab Cat Claw comics if I see them because they are super hard to find. And I love them. They're mostly released in Europe, so they're hard to get a hold of. They're an edgier book, definitely. Definitely an edgier book. Speaking of edgy books, Grips. I got an issue of Grips out of his bin for like nothing. So I got these like 6 books for like literally nothing. Extremely violent, Tim Vigil stuff. Very, very graphic, very gory. You see one, you should probably grab it. They are not a common book to find. In the same vein as this and this, I grabbed an issue of Scimitar because you never see issues of Scimitar. Also a very graphic, violent comic. Probably shouldn't flip too much of it open. But one I always grab when I see Eternity Comics Scimitar. Hero Alliance number 5, pretty racy cover. But I do collect these odd books like this, and this was just one of them that you don't see very often, so I had to grab it. Other books that I have pulled out from other places, I got World of Hardball League, which I think I remember this book, picking it up once before, but I don't remember much about it. It is basically future sports. Everybody is drawn this way. Yeah, everybody is drawn this way. I don't even know how to like describe it, but it is different. Trio of Trouble is another book I pulled out of the stuff before it left. Just for the Indiana Bones, which I think looks really familiar to me. Archaeology sucks. Weird little color book, very graphic, primitive looking art, but that is what I like. I like how this is all just, the cover is just all hand drawn. Everything is hand drawn on it. Grabbed from the pile. The Executioner, Max Bolin, because these seem so familiar. I think there's like a novel series called The Executioner, and I don't really remember much about the comics, but I grabbed them out of there. I grabbed this one because it is printed on the weirdest paper I think I've ever felt. This feels like newspaper, all of it, cover included. It's very floppy and very, very soft. I can't even describe it, but what it was made of alone made me pull it. I pulled out The Last American just because I thought that was an awesome looking cover. I mean, I just love that. And it's Marvel's Epic line, so I've never been wild about that. The art's never really grabbed my attention, but some of that looks pretty damn cool. So I did pull that out before it left. I grabbed an Image book called Monster Man, which I don't think I've ever heard of. It's black and white, and it's done really well. I love that coloring, and it is more of a cartoony type art style, but it's also pretty graphic. It's definitely one that I thought I should pull out and just add to the pile. And I got a buddy who's looking for more odd books like this. Earthlore, The Reign of the Dragon Lord, issue number 1 from, this is an Eternity comic, but it's probably an old, early Eternity comic. And the main reason I pulled it is just looking at the pencil work. Look at who does this? How many hours, how many days did that guy spend on that picture alone? So much cross-hatching, so much shading. It's absolutely insane. So I pulled it just for the incredible art that's in it. I grabbed this one because I remember there was a movie called No Escape. It's like a prison island or something. Marvel book. And I thought, you know what? I'll grab that. Iguana Comics, which I'm not terribly familiar with. Heretics, number 1. I just grabbed it because I'd never heard of it. And sometimes that's all you need, the reason to buy a book. It seems like they do not seem to want to use panels, which is very odd. Either that or this lightning is the panels. But I noticed that throughout the whole book, they barely ever use panels. It's like, it's all this big sweeping movements. Very, very odd little thing there. Inner Circle number 0. This is from Mushroom Comics, another publisher I've never heard of, which is of course why I pulled it. It looks like Image House art style. So I mean, your mileage may vary on that. But the fact that it was just a book that I'd never heard of, that always makes me pull it. And you got a guy in a metal suit. I usually snag an Antarctic Press if I see it. And this was one. It's black and white. It's not an anime, but I thought it looked interesting. So I thought, well, before the big mass goes, I might snag that one out of there. Strange Embrace for mature readers, book number 4. I didn't even crack this one open. I don't know what's in here. This looks to me more like an Oni type book from Oni Press, but it's, you know, it's that style, black and white, kind of creepy. Thought it was worth pulling. And the last one I grabbed was this Melting Pot Kitchen Sink book 1. I think I've seen this one before, but I didn't want to let it go, just because the art in it is so, it's so that. Look at that. You don't see books like that. Look at that shit. It's crazy. So anyway, that is what I grabbed. Stuff I didn't want to let go, stuff that I thought I should keep around, and then stuff that came to me for free, and then of course stuff that is just like what I buy. That's like what I usually get. I'm gonna throw her up there because I think that's good looking books to end on. And that's what I picked up recently. Like I said, even though I got rid of a lot of comics, I am still collecting, still looking for more. But there is a time when you do need to thin the pile, and this was definitely a week to thin the pile by about 18 long boxes. I still got plenty of books, but it is hard if you're a collector to get rid of some and decide where to stop with that. Is very difficult. Anybody out there who has cleared out a large inventory of their books and tried to make room for more knows what I'm talking about. It is very draining. It's very rewarding. I feel like the people who got the comics were very, very thrilled. Have plans to start moving them at a flea market and stuff, and I hope they do, and I hope they do well with it. But it is extremely draining when you cut back on your collection, because as collectors, what we do is collect stuff. We don't get rid of stuff. But it is something that you have to do every now and then, or your house gets so full that you can't walk into it. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. That's what I've gotten. I'm very excited about these, and I'm excited to keep on trucking with some action figure reviews and some comic reviews. And I thank you guys so much for watching. Those of you that do, I appreciate it. That is my story. I will stop rambling. You're appreciated. Catch you later. Bye.